to all the pessimistic, optimistic, and everyone in between. Welcome back to the Minnesotan Sports Podcast. My name is Connor Philippi, and Week 7 has come and gone. We're now getting into Week 8. I'm hoping this video can come out by the time the 7:15 game starts tonight, Thursday Night Football, between the Ravens and Bucks. I'm sure it'll come out somewhere in the beginning part of that game, so my predictions won't be tainted. But that being said, I'm going to go over every single game this week. There's a little bit of construction going on right behind me here. I'm assuming you won't be able to hear it too well, but if you do kind of catch it a little bit, I apologize for that, but it should be fine. So, as always, I have every single one of these predictions written down week by week, every single team that I projected to win, and I go all the way through with a win or a loss, depending on if they actually won or not. And I'm doing pretty well so far. I'll go over all my results for the first half of the season once that hits in a couple weeks. But for now, I'll just tell you I'm doing pretty well and leave it ambiguous. But yeah, I write down every single one, so I hold myself to my predictions. And I have a lot of good takes and a lot of bad takes, so I'll just leave it at that. So, we're going to start off with these games, starting with the Thursday Night Football game. Ravens at Bucks tonight. When you'll be watching this, maybe you'll watch it before or after, but I can't look into the future. This is a game between two teams that both teams, I'm sure, have not quite reached expectations up to this point in the season. Obviously, 4-3 isn't bad for the Ravens, but the Buccaneers definitely have done that to a much higher degree. They definitely have not reached the expectations they've had to start off the season, especially with Tom Brady. Obviously, they have had a lot of guys hurt. They haven't had a full personnel of their team available pretty much all season long. That being said, 3-4 for this team is unacceptable. I'm sure in the eyes of Tom Brady just as much. But this team has just looked incredibly flat. And it does get to a point where no one's saying that Tom Brady is getting too old to still produce. Like, obviously, he still has plenty left in the tank, but he doesn't have enough left in the tank where he can lead a team anymore. Like, be the sole leader of a team. There's going to have to be a lot of guys that work with him, and a lot of guys that are going to help him get to that point if he's going to continue to play even nearly as well as he has in the past. He's not going to be able to be that one-man show that turns every wide receiver into an amazing wide receiver just like that anymore. It's just not the way Father Time is going to work for him. So this team still has the potential to play well, but a lot of guys besides Tom Brady need to step up. On the Ravens side, Mark Andrews has really been the MVP of this team so far, and Lamar Jackson's been still playing well. That being said, this Ravens team needs to run the ball a lot better because as we stand right now with 7 games being played by the Ravens, Lamar Jackson leads the team with 510 rushing yards total, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. Obviously, they've had kind of a revolving door of running backs because they can never keep their running backs healthy. But that being said, regardless of who you have in there, you need to run the ball better. And the Ravens just need to do a better job of not giving away leads later in the game, and their defense has not been as good as advertised to start off the season. That being said, I got to go with the Ravens here on this one. You know, it's one of those situations where I can't trust the Bucs until I see a reason to trust them. They've just looked so flat all season long, and the Ravens have a lot more potential to them so far, and that's why I'm going to pick them. Cardinals at the Vikings. I'm going to do a video that you'll probably just see the next day on Friday. Hopefully I'll get it out by Friday, where I break down this game between the Vikings and Cardinals a lot more closely. But a quick prediction right now, I won't give too much away, is I will predict the Cardinals to win this game. We got DeAndre Hopkins now in his groove, the second week back. Kyler Murray is the type of quarterback that this defense is going to struggle against. You know, the defensive the pass rush is going to have to be phenomenal in this game. Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith are going to have to both step up in the same game, which we haven't seen all year long, in order for us to be able to get to Kyler Murray, get him running around less comfortably than normal. Because if Kyler Murray can kind of improv just enough, because he's great legs, great running quarterback, if he can stay out of the pocket and hold the ball long enough, he's going to find DeAndre Hopkins with our secondary. Our secondary, I'm very concerned about in this game. we're going to have to get to Kyler Murray fast, which is not something teams are able to do a whole lot, because DeAndre Hopkins will get open regardless against this very porous Vikings secondary. Vikings obviously have the win and loss advantage over the Cardinals right now, but I don't think these two teams are that far apart as far as how good they are, and I think the Cardinals are going to win this game in a game that I do think will be one of two games that the Vikings are going to lose at home all season long. Now moving on to the Broncos and the Jaguars, what a marquee matchup this one is. Trevor Lawrence actually not playing horribly, making some mistakes in key situations in games, which is his main issue so far, but he's been putting up some good yardage. And the Broncos, this is a really tough game to predict because the Broncos, I feel like, are going to figure out a little bit. Russell Wilson has been too good of a quarterback to play this poorly all season long. I do still think they're going to be mediocre all the way through, but they're definitely going to get better than this. That being said, the Jaguars are the London team. This is the team that is used to playing here. Obviously, a lot of young guys, but still, they're going to get a lot of support from these fans. And again, this Broncos offense has just been awful, and it has not been a Broncos country let's ride season so far for them. I got to go with the Jaguars. I never thought at this point in the season that I'd be picking the Jaguars over the Broncos, but here we are. I've honestly seen more from the Jaguars that make me more confident in this team because they're 2-5 with potential, whereas the Broncos are 2-5, could have been 0-7 at this point, and just have not shown any progress so far. They've just been flatlining. So I believe in the Jaguars more than the Broncos at this point. Broncos country, let's ride. Panthers at the Falcons. And the Falcons have once again been the same team they seem to be every year, where they show so many flashes of being able to contend, but then a big moment comes and they're not quite able to get it done. Panthers coming off of a huge win against the Buccaneers last week. That being said, the Panthers continue to get rid of their key guys, and the Falcons have honestly not been playing the worst football lately. I got to go with them. They currently have the -4 line, and I'll go with Vegas on this one. Because the Falcons at times can be very dangerous. Marcus Mariota, don't sleep on him. He actually hasn't been horrible. And right now, the Algier running back for Atlanta, in only a few games being played, has already rushed for almost 300 yards. So look out for him. Drake London is also having a pretty good rookie year. Bears at Cowboys, it's not that hard of a deliberation here. The Bears did come off of a big win against the Patriots on Monday Night Football, but the Patriots haven't looked insanely impressive. Not to mention the fact that the Cowboys' defensive line is going to destroy the Bears in this game. Excuse me. I don't see any way that Justin Fields won't get sacked at least 3 or 4 times in this game. And this Bears offense might not even score a touchdown in this game unless it's garbage time. So not a lot of confidence there. Dolphins at the Lions. Dolphins getting off to a good start with Tua back last week. The Lions had that one good win against the Commanders, and they really have not looked great since. Their defense continues to be Swiss cheese. And I love Dan Campbell, but there's still some questionable play calling there getting into this point in the season. I hope everything gets figured out. I hope the Lions can win a few more games this year and Dan Campbell can keep his job and they can continue that boat rolling because I love the culture that he's showing there. But I got to go with the Dolphins in this game. Tua is going to slowly but surely make his way back up to the way he was playing the first few weeks of the season. And I think this team will continue to be playing well. Raiders at Saints. Right now, the Raiders have a very slight edge in the betting. The Saints coming off of a rough loss last week, getting smoked by the Cardinals in a game that honestly at the end looked a little closer than it should have been. And the shocking, well, how shocking is it really, move to start Andy Dalton over Jameis Winston, which given how given how Dalton's been playing, you got to have very little trust in Winston to start Dalton over him at this point after the sample size you've seen of him. I don't know. It's tough. I'm going to go with the Raiders here. I know it's at home. Saints games at home are always difficult to play in, but Devontae Adams still exists. Obviously, the Saints have had a lot of good rookie stars come up, but I just trust the Raiders a little more. Waller should be back in this game. Again, another tough one to pick between two teams that have been looking rough, but that's just what I'm going to have to go with. Patriots at Jets. Every week you're thinking, is this the week the Jets implode? And obviously defeating the beast of the Patriots, even when they're not the greatest, can be a psychological battle that's tough to get over, especially for these teams that were terrorized by them throughout the Brady years. And New England is actually favored 2.5 on the line for this game, which is very surprising. Like I would understand if someone went for the upset here, but to have them as the favored team, I don't know if that's entirely accurate. That being said, let's go with the Jets. I don't care. Jets. As soon as you beat the Packers, you got to root for them at least for the next few weeks. This Jets team definitely showed flashes. Breece Hall being out is definitely a big hit, and that's probably why the line is shifting towards New England here. But this Jets team is playing with so much heart, and this Patriots team still is looking flat. Obviously they got a few important wins early in the season, but I got to go with the Jets still here. Eagles beat the Steelers. I don't think I need to explain that one at all. Steelers still have a lot of work to do. Obviously, they did beat the Buccaneers a couple weeks ago. Big win there. But that being said, the Eagles 6-0. They haven't shown signs of slowing down yet. Jalen Hurts looking great. And their running game honestly hasn't been that great. And even with that, they've been able to play super well. A.J. Brown is him. So the Eagles should easily win this game. Should be a blowout. Titans at Texans. Texans, another team that I can't pick at all. Like, there's no situation where I'd pick the Texans at this point. Davis Mills, he's not been awful, but definitely not going to lead this team to a win against the Titans. Obviously, crazier things have happened. I'm just saying Titans are starting to get their mojo back. Derrick Henry still not coming into his own quite yet. He's playing like Derrick Henry, obviously, but he hasn't been quite having an MVP season yet. So I'll have to see if he breaks out, but should still play well enough for the Titans to get this win against the Texans. Commanders at the Colts. This is one where it would be slightly an upset to go with the Commanders here, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyway, because there's just something about Taylor Heinicke. Like, he's not a good quarterback. He's not a fantastic quarterback by any means, but he just injects some sort of energy into this team. I don't know what it is, but he just has this energy to him that he injects into every team he plays for, and it is contagious with the team and made them play super well against the Packers. So, especially with the Colts being as iffy as they are, now starting Ettinger and benching Matt Ryan, I don't like it anymore. So I'm going to go with the Commanders. This Colts team is definitely imploding. Definitely the worst 3-3 team. For a team that's 500, they should be way below that based on the way they've been playing. I don't know how they've gotten to that point. 49ers at Rams. This is another difficult one. Christian McCaffrey is now going to fully know the playbook. He's been working on that all week long now. He came into that last game, still played fairly well, got his first touchdown as a 49er, and that was all. I think he went there a day before he started playing. So we'll have to see how he plays, and obviously, based on how much McCaffrey adds to this team, once he's fully in the playbook, is going to show a lot about how well they can do the rest of the way. But this is tough. I'm going to go with the 49ers. I don't have a lot of trust yet in the Rams. I've liked more with what the 49ers are doing offensively, and the Rams are really stalling offensively. Right now, the trajectory, even after being crushed by the Chiefs last week, I think the momentum is in the 49ers' favor right now. A lot of good things I'm seeing from them, just defense needs to step up. And right now, the Rams aren't the team to be the most concerned about when you're talking about the defensive side of your team. So 49ers there. Giants at Seahawks. And right now, the Seahawks are -3 favorites. The Seahawks and the Giants, it's going to be a good game between two of the most surprising teams out of the gate so far this year. Geno Smith is currently, I think he's like 4th or 5th in Pro Football Focus's rankings of the quarterbacks right now, which is just insane. 1,700 yards and 11 TDs, which is crazy. And I will go with the Seahawks in this game. I think the Giants need a kick in the pants type of game where, I think teams are, half the league is hyping this team up and half of this team is giving them no credit, and I think there should be something in between. I don't think this Giants team is capable of a deep playoff run, which is why I'm going with the Seahawks here, but also give credit to what they've been doing. They're definitely a team that has a playoff chance here. And the more games they win, the higher chance they have. That's the most obvious thing I've probably ever said. Packers at Bills. Guys, I hate to do it. See, okay, so there hasn't been a lot of opportunities so far this week for upset of the week. Patriots, Jets, there's no team there that's that easy of a upset of the week pick. I could go Bears over Cowboys, but Fields just isn't good enough. And the rest of the upsets, there really hasn't been, there's no upsets left, so I have to go with the Packers over the Bills for my upset of the week, and I'm going to mark that down. I by no means would I pick them if I didn't have to do an upset of the week, but I got to do it every week. Packers will upset the Bills. Aaron Rodgers does better in primetime games, I guess, and I hate to do it, but I'm definitely not picking the Browns over the Bengals, so I'm going to go with the Bills over the Packers. Even though the Bills are 11.5 favorites in this game, somehow, some way, I've got to will that into existence. Bengals at the Browns. You know what? Screw it. Bills are going to beat the Packers. I just can't, in good conscience, pick the Packers to beat the Bills. Let's get all that out of the way. Okay, Bills win. My upset of the week will be Browns over Bengals. I think, honestly, that one is the more likely one. So Browns over Bengals for my upset of the week. I just couldn't, in good conscience, pick Aaron Rodgers, especially since that's a game that would be fantastic for the Packers to lose for the Vikings playoff and division hopes. But yeah, Browns over the Bengals for Monday Night Football. Bengals are now without Jamar Chase, so it is possible that the offense starts off slow out of the gate while they try and figure out life without him. It looks like Jamar Chase has a hip injury that's going to keep him sidelined for about 4 to 6 weeks, which is going to be a big factor for this team. Jamar Chase being one of, in my opinion, a top 3 wide receiver in this league right now. So he's going to be out until at least week 14 or 15. So should they make it to the playoffs, they will most likely have him for that unless there's a setback. Really is a setback for my fantasy football team, but no one cares about your fantasy football team. I've learned that over the years. But if there's any chance of an upset, I think it's most likely the Browns. So there's my upset of the week, and those are my picks for week 8. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I'll be back out. I'll do my prediction for the Vikings and Cardinals games, just a more deep breakdown of the key factors of that one. That'll come out tomorrow. And then on top of that, I'm going to be uploading my raw reaction to the Vikings game on Sunday. I've got a friend coming over to watch it, so you'll get his input on that game as well, whatever the outcome is. And then I'm hoping to come out with my breakdown of the previous week on Tuesday, like I have been unable to do the last few weeks, but I'm hoping to get that done this week. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the flip side.